the state wish to present any victim impact statements?
It does, Your Honor. The state has 4 from Tonnie Lee, Shay Bachman, Annette Jackson, and Shawna Bachman, all family members, immediate family members entitled to provide victim impact statements in this case. My victim witness coordinator, Brady Heffender, is going to read the first 2, and starting with Tonnie Lee. So I asked at this time that the victim witness coordinator be able to come before the court and make that a victim impact statement on behalf of Tonnie and Shay.
Are these the same victim impact statements that have been filed in the case?
There are, with the exception of one, which was supplemented.
Okay.
And is that accurate?
Yes.
That's accurate.
All right. You may come forward and read those.
And Your Honor, before we got here today, Chuck and I discussed the recording, the court reporter, just to let you know of these.
What was the discussion?
That she's going to continue taking them verbatim, but that having them uploaded would assist in generation.
You may read the statement.
The first statement is by Michelle's sister, Tonnie.
And if you could, I know that microphone is not the best position.
Is that better? Maybe. Your Honor, my name is Tonnie, and I'm the oldest sister of Michele Jackson, who was just 17 years old when her life was taken from us in the most horrific and senseless way. Michele was not just my baby sister, she was my son's best friend. Because they were only a month apart in age, they grew up more like siblings than aunt and nephew. From infancy to preschool age, they did everything together. After we moved away and they had gotten a bit older, they were always on Discord calls together, and she was a constant, sometimes annoying, but mostly joyful presence in our home. Her voice echoed through our walls, her energy filled every space she entered. And now our house is much quieter, and I would give anything to hear him on call with her again. The day Michele was murdered, our world shattered. Every morning since, I wake up hoping it was a nightmare, that maybe I'll hear her voice downstairs in Caden's room or get a call from her while she's swinging at the park where she loved to go. Something so simple, so pure, so her. But then reality hits. She's really gone. I will never get to talk to her again. I'll never hear her laugh, hug her, or watch her grow into the incredible woman she was meant to become. I will never get to help her achieve one of her dreams, to travel outside of Iowa, at least not in the way we had hoped. One of the hardest moments this year came when my son turned 18, just 1 month after she would have, a milestone they were supposed to share, but only one of them was here to reach it. What should have been a happy celebration became a day of unbearable heartbreak. He is lost without her. His mental health has suffered deeply. He doesn't just grieve the loss of his aunt, he grieves the loss of his other half, his closest friend. And as a mother and her sister, it breaks my heart that there is nothing I can do to take away the pain. Michele was funny and full of life. She had been from day one. She fought against so many odds just to be in this world, and I am so very proud to say I was there the day she did. She had dreams, she had a future, she wanted to travel, to see the world beyond Iowa. She dreamed of new places, chasing weather, and one day feeling normal the way all awkward teens dream of. And all of it was stolen from her and from all of us. There is a hole in our lives that will never be filled, a constant ache that justice can never fully heal. Family gatherings will never feel whole again. There is an emptiness where she should be. Holidays, birthdays, even ordinary days, they're all marked by her absence. But I speak today to make sure that Michele is not reduced to a case file or a distant memory. She was a human being, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a best friend. She mattered, and her loss has changed us forever. I hope the court understands that this is not just about punishment. It is about acknowledging the life that was taken and the lives that were broken in the process. We live every day with this grief, and we will for the rest of our lives. And to the coward who did this, you didn't just kill my sister. You obliterated a future. You robbed a 17-year-old girl of her life, her dreams, her voice. You tore her away from the people who loved her most and left us with nothing but grief, rage, and silence. You didn't act out of passion or desperation. You acted with intention. You chose violence. You chose to end a beautiful life. And now you get to sit here in court, breathing, existing, while she's dead. I want you to know that you didn't just kill Michele. You killed a part of my son, too. You destroyed something irreplaceable, a bond between them that can never be repaired. And no matter how long you're locked up, it will never be enough. You don't deserve peace. You don't deserve forgiveness. I hope every single day you're haunted by what you did. I hope her face is burned into your memory. I hope you feel even a fraction of the pain you've caused, because what you did was beyond evil. It was unforgivable. Even more than that, I hope you're never allowed to forget what you did to a child. Not by the justice system, not by the people around you, and certainly not by your own conscience. You didn't break us, but you did leave us bleeding, and we'll carry that scar for the rest of our lives. I hope you've seen her in our faces and are haunted by the fact that we will never let her truly die. Even long after you've wasted away in your prison cell, forgotten by everyone, her memory will live on. Thank you, Your Honor, for allowing me to speak on behalf of my sister, Michele. I could go on forever talking about her, but I think I've made my point. Tonnie.
Oh, Michael, these are so hard to hear, but I really appreciate she said this is not about punishment. This is about acknowledging the life that was taken. And then also saying it was beyond evil, unforgivable, which you understand when you hear the facts of the case and what he did to this poor 17-year-old.
Yeah, I zoned in on the fact that he obliterated a future. And what you forget is you didn't just kill what was, you killed what might have been.
Yeah.
Who she might have been, and the ability for that family to appreciate and grow with her. So those are just some of the things that go through
really stand out. All right, stay tuned. We're going to bring you more of the emotional victim impact statements here on Court TV.
Tonight, on closing arguments, a Kentucky sheriff caught on camera shooting a judge inside his own chambers. We'll bring you the very latest from today's big hearing.
Closing arguments with Vinnie Politan tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law.
This is terrible. Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
The matriarch mastermind murder trial begins next week, only on Court TV.
In the middle of something.
Welcome back. We go back now to Iowa, where sentencing is underway for Nathaniel Bevers-McGivney.
He is facing life in prison without the possibility of parole after being convicted in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Michele Jackson.
Right now, we're hearing victim impact statements from several of Luna's family members. I want to go back into court now for more of that. Let's go back in.
The victim impact statement is from Shay, also read by the victim witness coordinator.
You may read.
I used to think that it was an exaggeration when I heard people say a death changed their life forever. I had never experienced a life-changing death, so I had no frame of reference. But it's not an exaggeration. The death of my baby sister has changed not just my life, but my entire family's lives in a way that we can never truly recover from. Normal is over for us. We don't get to go back to normal even now that the trial is over. Even now that this monster is going to prison. Never. Luna never gets to come back home. I never get to tell her I'm sorry for the mean things I've said, and I never get to tell her I don't care about the mean things she said to me. I can't tell her it's okay that she's not always okay. I can't tell her it will get better. I can't tell her I missed her. I didn't get to see her come home after being missing. I didn't get to say, I'm sorry it happened to you, but it's over and you're okay. Because it's not okay. She's not okay. I don't get to tell her anything anymore. She's gone, and that hurts. When a person dies, especially when someone is taken by someone else, they're not the only person who goes away. The victim's family, their friends, and everyone who knew them. The person these people were before it happened died too. Not physically, but mentally and emotionally. It destroys the family's entire worldview. It destroys their ability to feel safe. It destroys who they were to the person who was killed. I know because that's what the defendant did to me and my family. He destroyed us. No one else can imagine the pain we are going through, least of all the defendant. He had no idea the value of the life he took. He never will, not even if I were to tell him everything I know about her. He doesn't deserve to hear about her anyway, to know her in any capacity. The defendant didn't just take her from us, her family. He took her from everyone she ever knew. Hundreds of people showed up at her public vigil because she touched so many lives in ways he could never understand. Maybe he thought because she was weird, no one would miss her or notice she was gone. But he got caught precisely because she was loved so much, because we would miss her. He would have never gotten away with it because he so deeply underestimated how loved she was. I have woken up every day for the last almost year now, hoping this has all been a dream, hoping it wasn't real. And every single day, I'm stuck in a loop of this, stuck between feeling numb and empty to spiraling myself into panic attacks, remembering not just that she's gone, but that someone hurt her so violently and wanted her dead so badly that she ended up with not one, not two, but at least 5 fatal injuries that could have resulted in her death. How can anyone say that he didn't think about wanting her dead long before he did it? I don't know what she could have ever done that this man thought this was the way to handle it, but she did not deserve to die this way. She was going back to school after a lifetime of struggling to relate to her classmates and keep up with them. She wanted to start working toward independence in life. She wanted to be able to have a job and drive a car. She wanted the chance to grow up and live life the way she wanted. She didn't even get to turn 18 before she was murdered. Her birthday was 5 months after her death. We had to celebrate the year she became an adult without her. The defendant would love for you to believe that having a hard, traumatic childhood is what made him a killer, but Luna's life is hard too. She was autistic, and we all had a hard time communicating with and understanding her as she grew up. It wasn't her fault. We just had to learn how to help her. And we weren't always good at it. All of us sisters were adults by the time she was 10, so we were basically all helping raise her. Tonnie had her own kids the same age as Luna, so it was an interesting family dynamic. It wasn't the best, but we did the best with what we knew. There are other things out of our control that led her to having her own traumatic experiences, but she never killed anyone over it. There is no excuse. You are evil, pure and simple, and I hope you receive every bit of karma you deserve for what you've done, since Iowa unfortunately doesn't have the death penalty. Make no mistake that that's not even close to what you actually deserve, but your life for hers would have been a good place to start. I don't feel hate for you. I don't feel anything for you. You don't deserve to share space in my heart with Luna. You deserve to be forgotten about, to rot not just in prison, but in the memories of anyone who has had the displeasure to know of your miserable existence. You are literally nothing to me because all I have room to feel in my heart is love and grief for my baby sister. Everything my family does now, we try to do for her. Every time we eat together, treat ourselves to a snack, drive somewhere new, experience life, we're experiencing it for her. Every time we continue to try to enjoy life, we're enjoying it for her, on her behalf. Everything we do now is in service to her and her memory. We will always show up for her, even if she's no longer here. She is with us in everything we do and feel and see and experience. She's going to keep shining as bright as the moon she named herself after. And just like the moon is always present, looking over the world and our family, whether we can see her or not, she is here with us. I hope from where she is now, she knows she is loved from down here, back on earth, and she always will be.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
The next victim impact statement is from Michelle's mother, Annette. It will be read by the victim advocate, Janie Hughes. And that's H-U-S-E.
Ms. Hughes, you may read the statement.
While Michele was challenged with ADHD, autism, and PTSD, she was determined to make something of her life. She worked so hard to catch up on her schooling so she could get a decent job and build a better future. She had a rough childhood and was bullied for much of her life, especially at school. But despite that, she pushed through the pain, found her best friend in life, and worked toward her goals. Michele trusted very few people, but the ones she did trust, she loved deeply. Even though it was hard for her to show it, we knew who she trusted and cared about, and those people knew who they are because we told them. She may have struggled to express affection, but she learned to stand her ground with anyone who was unkind to her. That was something I admired about her. If you said or did something wrong to her, she would tell you to your face. If you weren't worth her time, she'd simply ignore you, even if it still bothered her deep down. I'm so grateful that in the last year and a half of her life, Michele and I were closer than we had ever been. I love her and I miss her so much. And now we come to you, her murderer. I guess you also had a rough childhood, but you lived your life on a very different path. Instead of working to heal, you dreamed of making someone else pay for your pain. You snuck into 2 different little girls' homes with a knife, trying to harm them. You got caught before you could finish what you started. I wish I had known what you had done before and that you lived in our town. You never would have had the chance to fulfill your twisted dream because Michele would not have been allowed to go out at night. What's even more disturbing is that you worked in the meat department. God only knows the thoughts going through your mind as you slice through meat. And God only knows if Michele was your only victim. I shudder to think of the possibility of pets or animals that you might have harmed. The system failed you as a child. You should have been locked away then. My daughter paid the price for your life's goals. You thought you could get a lighter sentence by crying about your childhood. But look at the differences between your goals and Michele's. She was bullied, she lived with mental health struggles, and she wanted to make a better life. You wanted to take a life. You didn't just take her life, you took her family's life, and the lives of so many others who cared about her. Michele had no idea how many people she touched. I wish you could have been forced to stand in the middle of everyone who came to her candlelight vigil. I'm pretty sure it would have turned into a different kind of vigil. I know none of this means anything to you, but people who didn't even know Michele came to celebrate her life. The turnout was incredible. The love was overwhelming. When you die, no one will be there to celebrate your life. I can't say for certain that you wouldn't have fulfilled your dark goal if Michele had not been your victim. You would have found someone else to kill, torture, or maim. Now I hope you get your comeuppance in prison. I hope you are someone's prey. I hope you're trapped in the nightmare of another's making with no way to wake up. I hope Michele haunts you. I hope she chases you with a knife in your nightmares every single night. These are the only hateful things I will say to you because you don't live in my mind. You mean nothing to me.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Let's bring in Attorney Bob Hilla. Bob, so hard to listen to these, but so important too. And one of the new facts we just learned is the mother says, I wish I'd known that you had broken into two little girls' rooms with a knife, because if I'd known that, I wouldn't let my daughter go to the park. Heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, I mean, this has got to be extremely painful for the family, who's probably numb at this point, although this kind of just causes them to relive it. You know, this is the raw part of the case. It's gut-wrenching, but it's necessary because it's a chance for the family to be involved in the process, and also, you know, to take the consequences or express the consequences beyond just the relationship of the crime and the victim and the defendant.
Bob, the only thing on the table here, as far as these charges of murder and abuse of a corpse are concerned, is whether the sentences will run consecutive or concurrent. What are some of the considerations that a judge goes into in trying to make that determination?
Well, I think the defense, you know, basically articulated, they laid it out. There's one transaction, which the law suggests that if there's one transaction in Iowa, then it would lean towards a concurrent rather than a consecutive sentence. The other thing would be, because he is getting the maximum penalty here for the murder, and premeditation was found already, that the defense argued the only other thing, which is, you know, what's the point if he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life? Why order the consecutive sentence instead of the concurrent sentence? So, you know, but again, the tack on here is not something that I think anyone's going to find beyond, you know, the discretion of the trial court, that the court acted arbitrary in giving him a consecutive sentence here, given the facts and the brutality.
I would agree.
I would have to agree. And as the state said, you know, that is going to pay homage to the fact that there were two separate acts here. They were both awful and just a terrible
The
crime.
brutal nature of it, to sum it up. All right, another one of Luna's sisters gives her victim impact, and later we hear the judge's sentence. Let's get you back to Iowa for sentencing in the bloody suspect murder case.
Nathaniel Bevers-McGivney waived his right to a jury trial. Last month, a judge found him guilty of murder for killing 17-year-old Michele Jackson. He's facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. So let's head back inside that courtroom now, where we're hearing a victim impact statement from Michelle's sister. She also testified during the trial.
And she's going to read it herself.
Ms. Stockman?
Before I begin, I'd like to thank the court for allowing me this opportunity to say my piece. I will be directing my statement to Michelle's murderer. People keep telling me I will need to forgive you someday for my own healing, but that's not a closure I need, nor one you will ever get, because it's not mine to give. The only person who could give you forgiveness is the one who will never be able to. The night you murdered my sister, I had gone to my mom's house earlier that day. When I got there, Michele yelled my name and smiled so big, opening her arms for a hug when she saw me. We didn't do this a lot. We didn't hug all the time. So I hugged her back and told her that we could and should hug more often. That was the last hug I would ever get from her. I tried to write this statement with more grace and more tact, but after I saw and heard all the things you did to my sister, I decided you don't deserve any grace from me. You murdered my 17-year-old sister who was just going to the park, a place my baby sister went every night as her own personal safe haven from the rest of the world. A place she found peaceful, comforting, and safe. A place where she could just swing for hours and feel okay within herself. And you desecrated that. You took her life in a place she felt secure. She didn't do anything to you, and you went out of your way to kill my defenseless, innocent sister. She thought she'd be safe. We all thought so. There was absolutely no reason to think otherwise. You took my only younger sister from me, and I loved being her big sister. There were so many places I wanted to take her, and now instead of having her by my side, I can only carry her with me as ashes in a small vial. You don't deserve to live while she's in that vial that I wear and in a box in our mom's bed. You don't deserve to walk around intact while she's reduced to remnants. Not only did you take her life, but you took her family's too. Our lives now have a giant piece missing, and we will never be whole again. Even our hometown is plagued now with all these horrific memories. The swing where she spent so much of her time is now empty and silent. It's a constant reminder of what you took from me. Every drive I take is filled with triggers from that night. My drive to work, to my mom's house, to the library. I have to pass by the places that still hold the echoes of the worst night of my life. The place where, for a relieving moment, I thought I'd found my sister walking her scooter home, but then realized with confusion and a sudden pit in my stomach that it wasn't her, but you. The place where you finally stopped to confront me for following you, where the sheriff eventually showed up, where his headlights lit up your body and clothes, covered nearly head to toe in my sister's blood. The place where you tried to hide her and you treated her like she was trash. And now I can hardly look at trash bins, let alone roll ours to the curb on garbage day. And then there's the place where she spent her last moments alive, where you horrifically took her life and where I had to see the puddles of her blood. As Michelle's big sister, it haunts me that I wasn't able to protect her from you, that I wasn't able to be there when it mattered most. So this is what I do with the pain that I couldn't save her. I turn it on you. I stand here and fiercely speak for her and make sure you're held accountable for what you did. I protect her now the only way I can. I speak because she can't. I carry her voice in mine. Michele was a tell it like it is kind of person. If she had something to say, you were going to hear it straight.
And because I know her, I know exactly what she would want me to do here today. She would want me to speak the brutal truth to you because she would want the truth laid bare without mercy and without politeness. She wouldn't want me to hold back, and I won't. So let's get to the part that's really meant for you. Because I know you don't care what our family feels. You don't feel guilt or remorse. I know that. People like you never do. Psychopaths don't have emotions like that. But they do feel something when their ego is threatened. When you're truly seen. So let me be clear. I see you and I see through you. There's nothing impressive, powerful, or intimidating about what you did. You are a failure story, not a warning. You are not feared. You are not respected. You are nothing. You revealed yourself, but for what? You showed the world that underneath whatever mask you wore, there was nothing. No purpose, no depth. You are a coward and you are weak. You snuck up behind a young girl to kill her. How much more pathetic could you be? You're not powerful. You're pitiful. You didn't gain any power or control. You lost it. The rest of your life is controlled by someone else now. You'll be told when to eat, when to sleep, when to stand, when to speak, and when to shut up. You'll be stripped and searched, your body checked like it's inventory. You'll wear what they tell you, you'll work the job they assign you, you'll be locked down at their will, surrounded by concrete and steel, and wait to be counted like livestock. You don't own your body anymore. You'll be just a number in a cell with a life ruled by walls and rules. You thought you were in control that night, but look at you now. Nothing is yours, not even your time. And don't think for a second that prison makes you some kind of equal among other criminals. There's no street cred for killing a young girl. You'll be marked, not by glory, by disgust. Even prisoners have a code, and you broke it. Even in a place full of killers and lifers, you'll still be at the bottom, child killer. You're now the property of the state and likely of the other inmates. There's no respect for you where you're going, and I hope they show you the same amount of mercy you showed Michele. Absolutely none. You probably thought no one would care. You probably thought this would fade into a quiet case file. Or maybe you thought you'd be known, remembered, and be significant. But every time someone says my sister's name, they spit on yours. Your name will not be spoken with reverence. It will not be written in history. Anytime your name is mentioned, it's with disgust and as a footnote in my sister's story, the villain that no one mourns. The only mark you've left on the world is a stain. Even in death, her life holds more value than yours ever has or ever will. You'll grow old in a cell if you make it that long, wasting air, wasting space. I hope you rot in that cell, not just in body, but in mind. And your death will not matter. Your absence will not leave this world any lesser, as it has been without my sister. You might think you somehow won because she's gone and there's no death penalty in Iowa, so you unfortunately get to live. But as long as you live, you will never know what it's like to be loved, adored, cared about, and absolutely cherished, the way she was and still is. Plenty of people grow up in broken homes and don't become killers. The truth is you were too weak. Instead of manning up and changing your own narrative, you decided to cry and pout and act like a victim. Boo-hoo. No one feels sorry for you, and no one cares about your childhood trauma. Pathetic little sob story. You didn't act out of passion. You didn't snap. You chose. You planned. Your plan sucked, but it was a plan. You probably thought no one would miss her so soon. You probably thought you had all but you failed. You mutilated her body, but you never touched her soul, and you never will. She lives in everything I do, in everyone who loves her, in every breath I take for her. She is forever remembered in love, and you'll rot in the memory of your own hate, alone, unseen, forgotten.
All right, certainly, we wish peace for the family, of course, but you said something as she was speaking that I really wrote down. It said she's taking the power away from him, and I think that's what she was doing. We saw a similar thing in the Koberger case.
I agree with you, because that's all they can do, right, as survivors.